Heyo! Welcome back. We're on into game number 2. Let's introduce our 2 players. Top left-hand corner, the victor of last game. Not Victor. It's Hyun, the red Zerg player in the top left-hand corner. And his opponent in the bottom right-hand corner, the blue Zerg player, RorO. I think I'm just going to call him RorO. I wonder if that translation works, if he understands that translation. I wonder if that works. Probably not. Anyways, we are on King Sejong Station, and oops, production tab. You guys need to know when gases are going up and stuff like that, don't you? We're on King Sejong Station, and I saw the name of this map, and I'm like, you know what? I need to Google this map. Or check for it on Wikipedia. So King Sejong, born May 5th, 1397, I think. Was the monarch of Korea, which kind of makes sense, thus the name of the map. Promoted a lot of science stuff, did a farmer's handbook, a lot of interesting stuff, and it was actually, I guess you could say, in charge of the now current Korean alphabet. I think it's pronounced Hangul, their alphabet, and he was kind of the guy in charge of pushing that forward. So, you know, usually whenever you're in charge, you do a lot of stuff. So evidently this guy's done a lot of stuff, and I guess that means he warrants a map for StarCraft too. Oh, jeez. Anyways, let's hope this map will live up to the expectation of King Sejong himself. Anyways, we have a similar build here between both our players. Pool up for both. Look at this, how close this is. Look at that. It's like a mirror match. Wouldn't know any better. So, gas is up first here for Hyun. And both players will scout out each other's expansion. And we'll just go from here. You know, history is an interesting subject. You know, the great saying is, you need to learn your history, otherwise people are doomed to repeat it. And hopefully RorO has learned from the history of last game, where he was really aggressive, tried to take out Hyun, but Hyun's defense was just too strong. Too strong. With that with the extra arm upgrade, it was just a little bit too much. Now you have to give it to RorO. He did try. He was at one point attacking, I think, all of Hyun's bases at the exact same time. He had roaches at every single base, attacking stuff. The problem was he was just fighting mostly roach on roach fight instead of just picking off drones. And the roach battles he took were usually he was outnumbered due to reinforcements showing up. Probably would have worked a little bit better if he actually targeted those drones with those roaches instead of just throwing them out there and being like, all right, roaches, that's it. Go for it. Do what you do. But that didn't work out for him. Baneling Nest going up for Hyun. So Hyun, is he planning to be aggressive this game? Speed for both players. Baneling Nest for his opponent, RorO as well. Now, this is probably, I've never played this map before, but that definitely looks like one of those maps where Banelings is kind of like the go-to build on this map, just because the ramp is so big and the distance from your main to your expansion is so far. Like, look how far that is. You're going to need, maybe 2 creep tumors to get down there. One might do it, but it might take 2. RorO does scout out his opponent, sees what's going on. Sees a Baneling Nest, so we'll see if he decides to turn up the jams. Nope, he's droning. Alright, so he saw his opponent was getting himself a Baneling Nest, and he figures, alright, I'll learn from my mistakes last game. I'll play defensive with the Baneling Nest. Drone up, let my... Wait, never mind, he's starting to make a bunch of Zerglings now. Let's see if he just continues to make Zerglings. Let's check the work count for both players. 30 and 32, so pretty similar between both our players here as far as the worker count goes. Queens, keep an eye on the ramp. They do have a back opening you can kind of tear down if you feel like it, take out those debris. But we've got Hyun moving out across the map, and RorO doing the exact same thing. He's got a lot of Zerglings. Hopefully they don't get bunched up and running up that ramp into those Banelings. They will run into each other and start to make his own Banelings. The Baneling's going for a detour to the left, and RorO just runs right on by. He's closer to his opponent's bases than his than his opponent is to his base, if that makes any sense. But he's going to continue pushing on through. He's making a couple banelings. RorO is going to be forced to defend here, but the banelings aren't done yet. They're just running straight under here. Both these players are battling back and forth. A lot of drones going down for both players. The queen is almost dead for RorO, but it doesn't go down. Gets in a nice position there while it deals a little bit of extra damage. Banelings running into the main. Uh-oh, this is looking pretty bad for RorO. Oh, good job there picking off those banelings, but these Zerglings in here dealing a lot of damage. Now we got some reinforcements from RorO show up, and it's looking like RorO will stabilize. And we'll take a look at the damages. 11 workers killed for RorO, and only 1 killed for Hyun, so you can obviously see who came out ahead there. Let's check the losses. 15,000 versus 1650, so RorO definitely coming out ahead here in this little skirmish. Hyun desperately trying to get that baneling up, but it's not going to happen. Hyun with a lot of forces just continuing the pressure. Look at this banelings coming up. They might get a nice hit there. Not going to happen. And spine crawler for both the players. And woo, that was getting a little close there. Banelings just trading back and forth. It's so hard to keep track of these quick baneling fights. And oh, nice job there, taking out those guys. Banelings are definitely the heavy hitters, but Zerglings, if controlled well, can deal a lot of damage. Take out those drones if just run in there and suicide them. That forces your opponent to kind of do those drone drills to keep them protected. And at this point, there's just too much of RorO in RorO's base for him to deal any damage. And a nice baneling picks off the rest of those Zerglings in spectacular fashion, exploding all over the screen. So the tech for Hyun is much further along. Look at this. He's got a spire already growing up. He's got his lair done. His opponent, while, look at this, still only like 75% done. So as long as Hyun can kind of stay alive after this little bit of a Zergling attack, which is looking like he's going to maybe lose a couple queens for. 2 queens go down for this, but, you know, RorO is going to be able to scout this spire, which is going to be very valuable information. If he could have kept those queens alive, had that ramp walled off a little bit better, and had banelings in position, he could have, you know, stopped his opponent from scouting out that spire. So that could be a potentially game-losing scout for Hyun. Time will tell. Third base going up for RorO, the bottom middle part of the map. Zergling's just running back and forth. This is kind of what Zerg players do in ZvZ whenever they're going Zergling baneling. They're just like, all right, now's the part in the game where I just make Zerglings and banelings for 10 minutes straight, and micro furiously trying to get a small advantage. So back and forth, baneling Zerglings. Oh, good hit there. Zergling almost got that last baneling. Spine collar being repositioned outside his natural, in a better position to deal with that third base. Hyun trying to set up his own third base, but he's going to do it in the midst of RorO's 4 Zerglings, but they will go down. The third base from Hyun, it just now goes up. But you do have to keep in mind he did spend a little bit of extra on the mutas, and the mutas show up just in time to save the hatchery from the Zerglings. So Hyun is going to it's going to give him air control. He's going to fly around, kill a couple overlords, I would imagine. Luckily for RorO, there aren't that too many on the map. He's already starting to pull these guys back. And a random overseer that was built down here just flies up and dies to a spore crawler, so a bit of a mistake there from Hyun, losing an overseer. And actually, it looked like it's maybe a supply blocked him there for just a brief second, but now we have mutas out. But of course, he scouted out these mutas a long time ago, like I talked about. And at this point, the spore crawlers are up and the mutas are out in force. Looks like they've got 2 overlords to their name taken out so far. But is there a spore crawler at the third? No, there's not. RorO not ready, making his own Mutalisk, as you can see. That does get healed. Nice save there by RorO. Keeps that alive. Mutalisk from Hyun forced to retreat. Looks like the number advantage does go to RorO. Zerglings picking off these long-distance mining drones. Great job there from RorO while the battle goes on in the sky. And RorO splitting up his mutas, actually loses a couple there just because they weren't grouped up. Slightly unfortunate for RorO. The amount of micro these players have to deal with in a muta Zergling baneling battle is just so intense. You just saw how many drones Hyun lost because he was paying attention to his mutas, and how many mutas RorO lost because he was paying attention to his Zerglings up there in the top part of the map. It's hard to be everywhere at once, but these players certainly do try. Let's check the worker count. 55 versus 58. A little bit of a lead here for Hyun. And let's check the losses. 4,554 versus 4,237. So still in the favor of RorO. The armor upgrade is already done for Hyun. He's starting to get the attack upgrade for his Mutalisks. So it's going to behoove him to instigate a Mutalisk's fight if he can. Both these players just kind of chilling outside their natural with their Mutalisk, keeping tabs on what's going down. No Spore Crawlers yet for Hyun at his third base. He's starting to build one here at his natural, which is a good place to have one. And no, there's actually not one in his main. So he's kind of just using his early Muta advantage to kind of force his opponent to play defensive, and he hasn't invested that much into his Spore Crawlers. So we get the Muta versus Muta fight about to happen. 20 versus 21 now. It's 21 versus 21, very similar. Zergling's making their way to the third base of Hyun. RorO trying to take down a couple drones. He managed to snag a couple of them. Baneling goes up, blows a couple of larvae up there from Hyun. So RorO's got his armor upgrade, but time ticks on. Hyun is slowly getting that attack upgrade, and this may just be a recreation of at least the air version of the previous game, where Hyun just wins due to having superior upgrades and pretty much same forces. And nice pick off there, and another Mutalisks from RorO. Hyun is gonna go for a fight. Here we go. Now it's just time to watch who fights and who wins. Who's got more stuff at the end of this? And it's going to be too much, and Hyun's going to decide to fall back. But look at this. Zergling's making their way to Hyun's natural. The Queen is going to go down, and a lot of these drones are probably going to fall at the exact same time, but Hyun shows up, manages to clear out those Zerglings pretty quickly. A couple of Zerglings make their way to the main, but they do get met in full force with Hyun's own little pack of Zerglings. Fourth base for RorO goes up in the bottom, kind of middle left corner of the map. Hyun's splitting up his forces. He's got Mutalas on the left. He's got Zerglings on the right. There's got to be a song in there somewhere, right, guys? So Hyun now moving back across the map. Once again, Zerglings moving into his opponent's base. Zerglings from RorO still doing work at the third base of Hyun. He's killing a couple of drones, but mostly just going to get the Queen, the Spine Crawler, getting a lot of damage. And at the exact same time, Hyun across the map, we have a Muta versus Muta fight. Zerglings versus Zerglings on the ground. This is just a sloppy knockout fight between both these players. And the 1-1 upgrades are both done here for Hyun, and RorO doesn't have those upgrades, but it looks like with the Queens there, and maybe just a couple extra Mutalisks, he is going to manage to stay alive. But at the same time, look at this. The third base is falling. Hyun is losing all of his workers over there, while RorO managed to keep his third base alive, and that difference in economy could prove rather to be quite significant in this game. Let's check the worker count. 60 versus 33. He's almost got double the number. And this Ursak calf is like, OMG. I guess that's what they sound like that, right? The worker count, huge difference. And the longer this game goes on, the better it is for Hyun. He can just continue to pump out Zerglings and Mutalisks, even with the upgrade disadvantage. But speak of the devil, look at that. The upgrade advantage is now broken even. And with this fourth base setting up position, RorO is in such a good position to finish this game up here. He has to hope that he can, have kind of a straight up fight here. Not lose a bunch of Zerglings to a random baneling attack. But he is chilling out for the time being. Supplies, 152 for RorO versus 108 for Hyun. Zerglings for RorO being sent all over across the map just to check out a couple extra bases. Zergling going up to the third, sees okay, he's reproducing a couple of those guys. He's set over here to the left, checks out this base. So we're doing a very good job of scouting out his opponent's base. And while Hyun unfortunately hasn't scouted out his opponent's fourth base, which could be very vulnerable to attack if these Zerglings just kind of ran over there, which they're doing now, but they ran right underneath the cloud of Mutalisks. Mutalisks doing so much damage, picking off half of those Zerglings. Now they run straight into the fourth base, with not much to defend it except for the Muta. Those Zerglings will get cleaned up pretty quickly. A couple extra Zerglings try to make their way to the third base of Hyun, but they will be met once again with some more Mutalisks. It's just Mutalisks killing Zerglings all day, every day here on King Sejong Station. So let's get a check on the Mutas. 30 versus 26. Hyun with a slight lead. Let's check the Zergling count. That number is always crazy. 46 versus 0. That's the problem here with Hyun. He just doesn't have much money to make this many Zerglings, and these Zerglings are just going to walk in here. He really needs banelings at this point. Yeah, sure, the Mutas can show up and defend, but if RorO ever decides to send his own group of Mutalisks along with him, that's going to be a problem. Having those Zerglings underneath those Mutalisks allows a lot of those bouncing glaive attacks from your opponent's Mutalisks to bounce down to your Zerglings, as opposed to attacking your Mutalisks, just giving you better deeps in the fight over the long term. But of course, any I was gonna say seasoned, any seasoned ZvZ fighter knows that. These Mutaflocks are getting insane. 40 versus 36. A lot of Zerglings here from RorO. Gonna manage to make a couple more himself. Battle's going down, but we got a bigger battle here. The battle of the Mutaclouds. Who is gonna win this one? There's gonna be RorO on the left or Hyun on the right, and Hyun's dedicated to ending this fight one way or another. And it's looking like, nope, it's gonna be too much. RorO with the numbers takes out all the Mutalisks for Hyun, and Hyun drops the GG, and that's gonna tie us up at 1-1 in this best of 3 series. So a lot of action going on this game. We saw the Roach play the previous game, and this was all about a lot of intense action with the Zergling and banelings back and forth. Both players trying to cut a little lead out there, but you know, Hyun did have the lead there going into the mid game with the Mutas out a little bit quicker, but unfortunately, it did get scouted out by RorO, and he had the defensive up. And from that point on, it was kind of just a lot of attacks back and forth, and slowly, over the long term, RorO eventually won out by taking out all of the infrastructure and drones mining on that third base. And that sealed the deal for him. Thank you guys for watching. You can find more of my stuff at youtube.com/EonShiKeno. Follow me on Twitter at EonShiKeno. Yes, I can spell my own name. We'll head on into game number 3 coming up next.